Live. Good evening, everybody. This is Omar Serrato with the Tilted Lawyer podcast. I am joined by the very famous, rapidly rising in fame, Anita, the Redditor Sleuth. And, I was minding my own business on a Saturday, and then I got this message from Anita. She said, "Oh, wow, I've uncovered something. It's about the subpoena. And we're all idiots. Again, in front of our eyes this entire time." And then she asked me, "Are you going live today?" It's like, Anita, it is Saturday. So I wasn't planning on going live, but we're live now. And I've talked to Anita a little bit about it. And so many of you folks were asking me questions about the subpoena and why this and why that. And so I figured, why not just have like a town hall meeting style show? And by the way, what do you think about the new lighting? It's more red now instead of purple. What do you think? Red or purple? You don't really have anything to compare and contrast. But just know the last time you were on this show, it was more purple than red. And it's red and I can't fix it. I don't know how to change it. I don't even know what I did. So it's just going to have to be red. Veep, everybody's saying purple. Well, that sucks. Next time, then, I guess. Next show will be purple. I was trying to make it a deeper purple, and it turned red, and then I think I broke it. I can't fix it back, and so here we are. And so Blake Lively gave a speech the other day, and people are up in arms about that. It was, I guess, at the Time 100 Gala, April 24th, a few days ago. Everyone's upset about it. She's accepting her honor as one of Time 100's most influential people. And all the while I'm thinking, who is this lady? I swear to God, like before December, I knew nothing about Blake Lively. Like she could have walked into my house and I would have thought that she was like the nice lady down the street or something. Turns out she was like friends with Taylor Swift. She's married to Ryan Reynolds. She's running conspiracies to overtake potential movie franchises, filing sexual harassment complaints and all of these things. So she's at this speech. She's being awarded and honored as one of Time Magazine's 100 most influential people. Now, let me tell you something about Time Magazine. Time Magazine used to be like a world-renowned, respected media outlet where if you were to find yourself on the cover of Time Magazine, it would garner you worldwide fame. And, times have changed a little bit. Magazines are no longer at the forefront of media coverage. That sale has, that ship has sailed, I guess. But they're still doing their thing. They found it prudent to name this lady, Blake Lively, as one of the most influential people in the world. Lively delivers what she, I'm sure, in her head thought and intended it to be, was a heartfelt speech that was focusing on women's resilience, the importance of not being silenced, the importance of elevating your voice in the midst of a sea of detractors. And she does all of that. Her husband's standing there at her side. She shares this personal story about her mom surviving a violent assault at the hands of a work acquaintance, emphasizes the impact of women need to help each other share these experiences. They should no longer be swept under the rug. Women's voices should no longer be silenced by the multitudes of those wishing to suppress women. That was essentially the heart of her message. She doesn't ever directly mention, obviously, the current lawsuit with Mr. Baldoni. She alludes to recent challenges, just saying that I have so much to say about the last 2 years of my life, but tonight is not the forum because she's in the midst of a hellish lawsuit. Obviously, we know what she's talking about. So everybody's up in arms about her giving this speech in trying to position herself as, I guess, this advocate for women's rights in the face of Justin Baldoni, who for the last 20 plus years or so has positioned himself as a champion for women's rights. And Anita, what do you think about all of that? You've been so quiet so far, even after my rousing introduction of you.
I was reading some of the text messages again, but to be honest, I think I think what everybody's thinking, it's just like she's trying to pretend that she's such a strong person and she's not bothered, but you can tell from her face that she's uncomfortable and she's faking it. She knows it, we know it. And that's all I think. I mean, it's all fake. I don't know. I have nothing nice to say, so I will not say anything at all. So just.
Well, I got this shadow on my camera. I don't know how to get rid of it. I need like a lighting expert or something. I got these weird shadows. We're just gonna have. You know what? We're not having the purple lights tonight. It's gonna have to be red. I don't know what to say, man. I screwed something up, and I don't know how to fix it. All I know is this: I've been involved in, obviously, plenty of litigation in my career. I have sat next to those accused of the most heinous of crimes. And I have sat next to people that are positioned in litigation where people think that they're the devil. And sometimes they are, sometimes they aren't. But I couldn't imagine having to stand next to her and pretend that everything that's going on isn't going on, and accepting this acknowledgement by Time 100. You know, good on her, but to give that speech, maybe that would have been the time to just say thank you and move it along.
And just the funny thing about this whole thing is like she was named Time 100 for something completely opposite. She wasn't even given that influential title because of this.
Well, by the way, what was the basis for them? Do you know what was the basis for them awarding her this?
The basis for why she was given? I think she had donated money for Black Lives Matter that's what I understood back in 2019.
Okay, but that's like
and that's the thing, like they brought it up, and some again, this is like not confirmed sources in a way, but online information that we're going, I haven't dug into that yet. They're saying that the owner of the Times magazine is the brother to some Deadpool writer or something like that. I'm not sure. Oh, here somebody wrote.
Should we just chalk it up to connections? She's well
connected. Oh yeah, everything is connections with her.
Yeah. There were some minor filings that Lauren Knighty had went over, I think on Friday night, then again on today, about Jen Abel has amended her response. There's not a whole lot of difference about her amendment versus what's already out there. But, you know, I'll talk about it a little bit. I will say that there was this motion to quash. I don't know if it was how in depth it was covered by anybody. It was essentially a motion on the part of Marvel Comics saying we shouldn't be forced to comply with this subpoena because it's too overly broad. Just from the language, this firm represents non-part. I know I said I wasn't going to read anything, but I'm going to read just the letters, the highlighted portions, so you guys know what I'm talking about. I've been asked so much about these motions to quash that I feel like I just probably should. So there was this. It was a letter from Wayfair. We write pursuant to Federal Rules of Civil Procedure 26 and 45. What they wanted to do was have the court quash the subpoena issued to Marvel from the Wayfair parties to issue a protective order prohibiting the disclosure of Marvel confidential documents by any party or other non-party in this action. By the way, I really thought that this letter was poorly written and just kind of a big waste of time. Subpoena concerns the creation and development of one of the characters in Marvel films, Deadpool and Wolverine. Marvel is aware that the Wayfair parties have served document requests for the same documents from Reynolds, the RFPs, as discussed more fully below. The requested documents are proprietary and highly confidential, and their disclosure is likely to substantially harm Marvel, The documents are irrelevant to the claims in this case. The disclosure of these documents would be improper and all of this. So they get into some of the background and stuff. And then this is what they are pissed off about. The subpoena calls for the production of all documents and communications concerning the creation, development, modification, or portrayal of the character Nicepool from Deadpool and Wolverine, which I thought was actually pretty narrow, given the entire Marvel universe that they could have requested, which is kind of more along the lines of the style of request that the lively parties were I just want every communication for the last, since 2022 that has ever existed and blah, blah, blah. Their argument was the party issuing the subpoena must demonstrate that the information sought is relevant and material to the allegations and claims at issue in the proceedings, after which the burden shifts. And the Nicepool character was referenced in the complaint as a demonstration of the ill will that Ryan Reynolds harbored towards Justin Baldoni. It was part and parcel to the way that he was characterized and the way that they were kind of bullying him before, during, and after production of the film. And so whether or not it's relevant or not is really a tribal issue. It's an issue that needs to be hashed out in evidence, which needs to be evaluated by a jury. Therefore, relevant. So they say the party issuing must demonstrate the information is relevant. Okay, and all that. Third party may seek a protective order or other relief when the party to the action is requested to produce discovery material that is subject to contractual or other obligations of confidentiality owed to the third party. That's actually a pretty relevant reason why you would object. And so maybe it's not a big waste of time after all, but it's certainly relevant.
Did everyone else lose, Omar, or is it just me?
What? Did everyone else do what? Hey, Anita, I think you fell off. I'm going to remove you and bring you back in. Anita, could you hear me? Yeah, I think it's just you, Anita. Come back in. I think you're having audio issues. I'm going to finish with this letter, and then hopefully it'll resolve itself. All right. So they have to seek it because of contractual obligations to confidentiality. They claim that the documents at issue are irrelevant. They're based on the false statements of fact, not merely ideas or opinions, which is not altogether true. As I recall, well, I honestly don't remember. I can't remember that far back. Nita, is that you coming back in to the stream? Let me check on you. No, they can't be. Well, hopefully that works. Hopefully that resolves. In their First Amendment complaint, the Wayfarer parties allege that Nicepool is a caricature and mocking portrayal based on Reynolds' perception of Baldoni, but identify no false statements of fact. I guess that would kind of go, though, towards the false light allegations where California law has been implicated at the very least. And on a bigger, larger scale, I think that fact, if that's true, and the jury believes that the Nicepool is a caricature and mocking portrayal based on Reynolds' perception of Baldoni, that speaks to the larger issue of malice, conspiracy, bad faith, ill will, and all of those other issues. But just on its face, I think that it's safe. And we haven't really figured out whether or not we're going by California or New York law, but to the extent that it's California law, I believe that the false light cause of action that everybody keeps on saying is redundant is directly implicated by the accusation that somebody has issued a mocking portrayal of your likeness to important people in the industry or to the general public in general. So therefore, nothing about this says we need to quash the subpoena. The Wayfarer parties certainly have other less burdensome means through which they can obtain relevant information, if any exist, from the parties in action, such as a request for admission or a party deposition. The documents are proprietary and confidential, and their disclosures would harm Marvel. They want us to look at Federal Rule of Civil Procedure 45BI. The subpoenas request sweep broadly, demanding all documents about a character in a major film and all documents concerning an actor from seemingly anyone related to Marvel. These requests necessarily call for the production of draft scripts, production notes, other documents relating to the development of the film. Courts recognize that documents relating to the development of a creative work are confidential and deserving of protection, and all of this and that. They talk about stuff. Confidentiality concerns are heightened as this court has heard the details of the case. Oh, shut up. Anyway, they want it quashed. The response to that was pretty sharp. And all they basically said is, my screen's still being shared with you folks? Let me just make sure. Yeah. The response was essentially this. Contrary to its representation, Marvel did not meet and confer with us in good faith, in a good faith effort to resolve this dispute. And it's not that they didn't meet and confer, they just didn't like their tone, is really what they're arguing to the judge. On April 7th, 2025, my office met and conferred with Marvel's counsel via telephone about the objections, and although we attempted in good faith to address Marvel's purported concerns about confidentiality and relevancy, Marvel's counsel interrupted us, refused to engage in that discussion. Instead, Marvel's counsel interjected and stated he merely wanted to know what documents the Wayfarer parties really needed, regardless of the subpoena's demand for all documents concerning the creation, development, modification, portrayal of Ryan Reynolds' Nice Pool character from Deadpool and Wolverine, and B, Justin Baldoni. For the sake of clarity, Nice Pool is a defamatory and mocking portrayal of Baldoni, as alleged in the Wayfarer party's pleadings, and is used in the film Deadpool and Wolverine to mock events that allegedly took place between Baldoni and Lively on the set of the film It Ends With Us, whose name events that are the subject of this lawsuit. We responded, we wanted Marvel to search for and produce documents concerning Reynolds and all these things. Counsel was in email stating that Marvel would be moving to quash the subpoena. In other words, they just disagreed and said, fuck it, we're going to do motion to quash. Marvel's motion should be denied for its failure to meaningfully meet and confer prior to seeking judicial intervention. And I'm not sure how I feel about that. They sat, they had a conversation. It's like, hey, if I have to give you all of this stuff, I'm going to be forced to file a motion to quash because it's overly broad. So why don't you just tell me what it is that you're looking for? What do you need? And I'll give it to you. And they said, well, we need everything. Then I guess I need to do a motion to quash. This conversation is over. I don't know. That sounds like a good faith conversation to me. The motion to quash is really just they're objecting to the burden. And they just basically outline a federal rule of civil procedure where they kind of have to object to this because it's crossing into boundaries where they're contractually bound to secrecy with some of this stuff. And so, you know, it's going to require the court's intervention. I just don't think that this was a bad faith meet and confer. I can't tell you how many discovery disputes have started like that. Look, I'm not going to go back and give you 18 years of bank statements. Why don't you tell me what you're looking for? What is it? Oh, it's the retirement account. Why don't I just give you all the statements from the retirement account? Matter of fact, if I could give you just a summary, you could figure out what was in there then, what was in there now. It would have like a summary of whatever the withdrawals were, whatever the additions were, and then we could figure things out. Is that simpler? Is it easier? Do I need to go and subpoena the bank for 18 years of bank records, or are you going to be a dick about it? Or vice versa. So I don't know if it's bad faith, but that's the nature of the conversation that was had. So Marvel's motion should be denied for its failure to meet and confer. Instead, Marvel inaccurately represents to the court that the Wayfarer parties are seeking all documents about a character in a major film and all documents concerning an actor. Rule 26B1 provides that parties may obtain discovery regarding any non-privileged matter that is relevant to any party's claim or defense and proportional to the needs of the case, considering whether the burden of expense of the proposed discovery outweighs its likely benefit. More stuff. They're talking about Oppenheimer. To begin with, Nice Pool is an expression of opinion or not, while perhaps relevant on a motion for summary judgment, is entirely irrelevant to determine the propriety of the Wayfarer party's subpoena. Indeed, even if the nice pool character were found to be an expression of pure opinion and therefore inactionable in its own rights, information concerning nice pool and communications exchanged in relation thereto would still clearly be relevant to, among other things, the question of Reynolds' alleged malice. Exactly. I feel like we've been saying this for like a couple of months now. Oh, by the way, I don't normally do mixed drinks, but I did today because I'm trying to get rid of some of my bottom shelf whiskey. Also, it's Monday. You know, what's to celebrate on a Monday? That is especially true given that on a big budget superhero movie, Reynolds insisted on the ill-fitting and belated addition of Nice Pool to the script during the period at issue during this litigation, and in fact, credited in the film It Ends With Us. Importantly, the information sought could establish malice not only in connection with his portrayal, but also in connection with other defamatory statements Reynolds made at or about the same time over the same events that caused the Wayfarer party substantial harm. They go over the law about how the court is going to rule on this thing. You got to apply the totality of circumstances. There's a 3-part test. Whether the specific language at issue has a precise meaning, which is readily understood, which in this case I think it does. 2, whether the statements are capable of being proven true, and whether the full context of the communication in which the statement appears is such as to signal readers or listeners that what is being read or heard is likely to be opinion, not fact. We've gone over this law in the 12b6 motion, honestly. Pertinent facts are most appropriately developed by discovery and presented either by way of summary judgment. Anyway, they disagree. And for those laws, they state that it's very clearly relevant. So Marvel further argues that the Wayfarer parties have other less burdensome means through which they can obtain relevant documents, if any exist, from the parties in action, such as a request for admission. First, Marvel doesn't explain how the subpoena is unduly burdensome, which is true, and we know that Judge Lyman really likes explanations because he denied Friedman's request for an extension of time because he couldn't articulate why the deadline as it was unduly burdensome or caused a problem. So they got a good point. They didn't. Especially with this judge, especially given the Wayfarer party's agreement to narrow the scope thereof, and Marvel does not claim it will incur significant expense to locate and produce the documents. Agreed. Second, compliance with the subpoena may moot the need for further discovery. In other words, if we get all of this stuff and there's nothing there, there's no reason to go further. If we get this stuff, there might be stuff there. It may lead to further things, but also it might just put a cap on all of this stuff as it is, therefore diminishing the need for further unnecessary expense, litigation, and so forth. Third, the suggestion by Marvel and the Wayfarer parties should obtain documents and information concerning Nice Pool from the parties here too, including Ryan Reynolds himself, is insincere, because Marvel also seeks a protective order prohibiting the disclosure of Marvel's confidential documents by any party or other non-party in this action. In other words, we've already dealt with this effing stuff. Marvel does not merely seek that relief in the alternative to quashing the subpoena. Thus, Marvel simultaneously contends that the Wayfarer party should seek Nice Pool documents from the parties here too, and the court should not permit any party or non-party to disclose Marvel's documents. Marvel further argues that the Nice Pool documents are particularly sensitive because they relate to the development of stuff. The court has entered a protective order that provides ample protection for any proprietary information. That was like 2 months ago. The subpoena only seeks documents concerning Nice Pool from one movie that has already been released. The character does not appear in any other film in Marvel's franchise, will not appear in any future films since it was killed in its first appearance. I guess that's true. Lastly, Marvel requests in the alternative to the primary relief sought that the court stay discovery from Marvel pending the termination of Ryan Reynolds' motion to dismiss. However, Reynolds himself has neither sought nor obtained a stay of discovery in connection with his dismissal motion. Additionally, and as detailed in the Wayfarer party's opposition to Reynolds' motion, there are not substantial grounds for dismissal of the claims against him. And in the unlikely event claims against Reynolds are dismissed with prejudice, the information sought in the subpoenas remains relevant as to the suit against Lively, as the Wayfarer parties contend Reynolds was acting as an agent of Lively. The Wayfarer parties have proposed, in good faith, and to avoid any undue burden upon Marvel, to narrow the subpoena and stuff, and so knock it off. That's pretty much the gist. I got my hands on Abel's amended thing, and I'm not going to read all 85 pages. I think Lauren Knighty did that earlier today, and so I will leave that to her. But that was the gist. What's up, Moose? I see the Moose in the chat. Oh, I forgot about Anita. What's up, Anita? You fixed your stuff?
Hi, yes, I've been dying here. Hi.
You didn't miss anything.
Oh, no, you missed a lot. I didn't miss anything. You missed a lot. Sorry, let me explain.
Okay.
Let me explain one thing, why I think they're going after Nice Pool.
Okay.
It is not because of, what is it called? What are they saying about this? It's not about false light or anything. This is the premeditation of the 17. It's going to be proven. I think that's what they're trying to do.
Well, the false light thing was my way to tie it in the California law on an often shit upon cause of action that nobody likes, but I find it relevant.
I think they're going to use this if they're allowed to have access to the Nice Pool stuff.
Yeah.
I have done this research as well. It's on Reddit. It was posted 28 days ago. The timing of it is very important because according to the interviews that were done behind the scenes on what is it called? Shooting, whatever, before all of this, we found out everything.
And I just point out that people are like giving us, VPAN gave us $2 to say, hey, read the chat, Omar, Anita's back. And then Christina Erickson, the same thing. Anita is waiting, Omar, with $2. And then just Ricardo said, Halloween, lovelies. Sup, Omar and my friends. Well, that wasn't about you, but I thought that was following a common thing. I didn't mean to cut you off, Anita. Go for it.
No, it's okay. You're on a roll. It's all good. It's all good. It was very funny. I was like, no, he has to know. So basically, a very important thing. The list of 17 things, the demands, whatever. It was the same day Dog Pool was announced. Dog Pool is Nice Pool's dog. And the Dog Pool, yes. Wait. So let me explain again. So why the timing is important is like it was announced on the 9th, and anyway, on Twitter and on Instagram he had put it up, and based on the interviews, the Nice Pool character was there, but it didn't have anything. And also based on the interviews, they actually shot the scenes with Nice Pool by the end of it, and there were a lot of changes done, and it's in the interviews that, it was something that they improvised and it was an afterthought. So I think they're trying to get to Nice Pool to kind of show, what is it called? They're showing the premeditation of the 17th, which will also help them prove that, it was not... it was it was not based on truth, it was premeditated. I think they're going to use that. And also they're talking about how Nice Pool wants like the golden pistols. They want all these notes, how it is done. And also in the interviews, actually it was done in Hungary, I believe, or Poland. Ryan Reynolds had done an interview with a foreign journalist where he says that with the Nice Pool it says like you have to show him up in a bad light so that when you take his life away from when you take his life away, people don't feel bad for him. All of this is in an interview, and I think once they will have this whole conspiracy, right? So that's what that conspiracy to extort. I think just like, if you don't believe what we are, this is not, just listen to him. If you don't believe my words, just, and then they can show like one interview after another, basically them telling on themselves. And I think they're just going with this instead of saying it outright. Sorry, did you understand what I said? Sorry,
yes, I did.
It's 7:30. I type better than I speak. I don't really interact with people
No,
because
you're doing great.
I dump everything on the paper and then I sort it out. And
I
again,
gotta tell you, man, one of the hardest things to do is to speak your thoughts in a structured way, the same way as writing. It really is hard to do, especially if you're, you know, getting used to the whole. You're really getting used to the whole podcast rigmarole, and so do not feel self-conscious about the way that you're presenting the information. I will say this: they were never going to say everything that you just said right now in what you were arguing. They were being very vague and broad in this letter to the judge because they don't have to be that detailed. All they had to say was, look, it's relevant for reasons. And the reasons that they mentioned, they weren't specific. They're not going to outline their entire closing argument. What they were doing is just highlighting the fact that this is an issue for trial because it's going to be used to demonstrate malice. And they very broadly mentioned that. And why is it going to implicate malice? For all of the things that you just said. The timing of it all and everything else leading up to the thing. And so, yes, you're on the right track with all of that, but they were never going to say that in this letter. So don't feel bad for that.
Okay.
I'll tell you where that is coming, though. It may come in the form of a motion for summary judgment, which I don't think is actually going to manifest. It's definitely coming up in trial. What's going to be fascinating is like you're going to see all of these filings, right? And we've been reading, like everybody was freaking out about the filing from last week. Oh my God, Van Sham, the sham subpoena, the sham lawsuit, those 1 through 10. Nobody was notified. And everyone's freaking out about it. I promise you when it comes out in trial, it's going to be like 30 times more dramatic. Because all of the things that we've been speculating on are going to come to light. Just like you saw that little thing. It's like, holy shit, that's what Anita was saying, like for like months. And so that's that. As far as the complaint was concerned, oh, by the way, Friedman made a public rebuttal of Stephanie Jones' attorneys on the 24th that I missed. I think it was like last Thursday or something. I want to say that Lauren covered it. I don't remember, but he goes on and he's on Extra with Billy Bush. He's speaking to TMZ. He denies that Jones leaked any texts to Lively. They maintain that Jones only turned over messages under a lawful subpoena. Obviously, Freeman's like hell it was a lawful subpoena. And then he had a lot to say about that. And they've been kind of just going back and forth. He wrote this like really harsh, well, I don't know if it was a tweet or a letter, but I heard about it on Lauren's thing where he called it like the Van Sham lawsuit. And he's like, just goes on this really ripping, like couple paragraphs of just stuff, just scathing against Lively's attorneys about them making a mockery of the justice system and like what a sham it was. And, you know, how dare you issue subpoenas without giving notice, all the while not really showing his hand too much any more than he already has, which is I'm going to pursue whatever penalties for this sham subpoena, sham lawsuits to the fullest extent of the law, which brings us to the other thing that we were going to talk about regarding the Fifth Amendment. So you're not the only one that brought this up to me. I was speaking with Without a Crystal Ball over the weekend about this case. And then one of the questions that came up was, why would they put these civil causes of action that implicate crimes? Why are they doing this now as opposed to like going after, you know, why would like basically the prosecutors in New York not go after her right now to try to get her for, you know, for example, wiretapping violations or all the other dozen possible violations that could be out there? One really huge reason for that is because in a civil case, you don't have Fifth Amendment protections. So if you get asked in a deposition, you don't get to claim Fifth Amendment. I'm not going to incriminate myself. If you're questioned in a cross-examination during trial in a civil case about whether or not you committed a crime, you don't get to plead the Fifth. you have to be forthcoming if it turns out that you lie about your culpability in a possible crime that might garner additional charges against you in the form of perjury and all of that. So the fact that those causes of action are being lodged in a civil complaint against Stephanie Jones is a big deal. And I think strategically, the prosecutors like it because she's going to have to disclose certain things in discovery that are going to make her culpable or not culpable of these crimes. And to the extent that they get their hands on some of this discovery, like, for example, Friedman turns it over to the prosecutor's office upon discovery of the things he's discovered. Then they could file these criminal complaints based on actual evidence. And they're letting essentially these civil attorneys, these high-powered, multi-million-dollar civil attorneys, do lots of the investigation for them. It makes their job a whole lot easier. Now, where that might backfire is in the case of like Bill Cosby. Like he was facing criminal charges, and then there was a civil lawsuit. And then in the civil lawsuit, when Bill Cosby didn't have Fifth Amendment protections, they used some of his deposition statements to try him again a second time for different charges. And then the Supreme Court said, bullshit to all of that. You cannot circumvent the Fifth Amendment that way by declining to bring a claim from a victim because you know that the civil lawsuit is coming, therefore circumventing the Fifth Amendment. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why Bill Cosby is not rotting in jail right now. So sorry to go on my rant.
I have a question.
Yes. Yes, you do.
Legal question. So,
yeah.
Okay. So, I think I saw not actually Golden post about it, about the Fifth Amendment thing as well. In a criminal case, if you plead the Fifth, that isn't the prosecutor or prosecution, because it's criminal, it means it's the government or DA. The prosecution cannot use that as an admission of guilt or saying that you're avoiding, insinuate that, oh, they pled the Fifth
the jury
because of this. Yeah. But in a civil thing, in a civil lawsuit, you can say that, oh, they're pleading the Fifth because they, they're scared to incriminate. Is that true?
Well, it's I'll give you an example. If you were on trial because you stole cookies from the cookie jar, right? And there's evidence, and you're the only person implicated in the crime, and you're sitting there on the witness stand, they ask you directly, Anita, did you take the cookies out the cookie jar? And then you say, I can neither confirm nor deny. And then the prosecutor says, like, hell, yes, you can. You will give, my question requires a yes or a no. Did you steal the cookies or not? And then you say, at this time, I would like to exercise my Fifth Amendment rights against self-incrimination. And that's the end of it. That's the end of it. But everybody in the jury saw you do that. And all the evidence points to you. And when asked directly about it, you could not and would not say, no, I didn't. You just pled the Fifth. Well, the jury could use that as the basis to form their opinions of guilt towards you. I'll give you another example, however, where it could bite you in the ass. For example, I practice family law. A lot of times in my family law cases involving domestic violence, very often the person that committed the act of domestic violence is also facing criminal charges. So one of the things that I will do is, well, what they will try to do is this. We'll have a trial for domestic violence, and defense counsel will be like, I want a continuance because my client has Fifth Amendment rights. And I'll say, Your Honor, objection to that bullshit. He doesn't have any Fifth Amendment protections here in this family court under the civil code. That applies to criminal court. If he wants to sit here and be silent, that's his business. He doesn't have to testify. But my client doesn't have to wait for him. And so he just might choose to not make himself a witness. And then the judge certainly will hold that against him because they're the ones that get to say, yes, you did commit an act of domestic violence, or no, you didn't commit an act of domestic violence. And if you're silent when asked that question, then all they're going to get is one side of the story. And if you can't talk because, well, I can't talk because Fifth Amendment, I have a pending criminal case, fine. All I've heard is from them. Therefore, I find you guilty of committing acts of domestic violence. We're going to grant this restraining order for a period of 5 years. With all of the protections under Family Code Section 3044, you shall never have protection or custody of your child, but for supervised visitation and, surrender your firearms and all the other penalties that come with it. It is quite the thing. So I forgot what your initial question was.
I forgot it too, so it's just it's okay.
But I think it was sort of like, how does the Fifth Amendment work in civil cases? That's kind of how it works. In civil cases, you have no ability to not answer the question. You have to answer the question. You have to provide a response. And matter of fact, if you were to try to implicate your Fifth Amendment protections in a deposition, for example, I'm just not going to answer that. They might be able to compel your response. And you couldn't argue, well, the Fifth Amendment says I don't have to say, yeah, well, that applies to criminal courts, not to civil. You will supply an answer to the question, and your answer will be truthful, or it'll be bullshit, or it'll be some skirt around. Either way, it gets into evidence. And the jury or the judge, if it's a bench trial, gets to read into that what they may. How about that? Rob says, same reason, Omar, for not getting crime charges. It takes time, like LO here in Maricopa County, building a case, and these two are just adding more and more against themselves. Yeah, and so we have this, look, it's unique because civil cases, on average, like just the average person in America, they get themselves in a breach of contract case or defamation case. They may spend $20,000 to $50,000 in attorney fees and costs from start to finish. On average, more or less. You can only do so much with $20,000 to $50,000. You may or may not have access to depositions. You may or may not have access to all these subpoenas requesting these hundreds of thousands of pages of records. More likely, you're going to have scant evidence. But in this case, the prosecutor's like, these people are spending like $1 million a month on attorney fees. Let them beat each other up. They're going to give us all the evidence. If there's evidence that tends to point to guilt, we can use it, presumably, because Friedman is going to give it to them. Also, he doesn't have to give it to them. So there's that. But there's going to be depositions taken. There's going to be testimony given under penalty of perjury. Those statements can be used against them in a criminal case. And so what would be the point of filing charges now? They have a whole, I think, 12-month statute of limitations from the discovery of the incidents to file charges. So why not wait a little bit? We got like 8 more months. So what do you think of that? I hope I answered your question, Anita. I don't know if I'm making sense or not.
I'm thinking about cookies right now, the ones that I apparently stole.
Oh.
But no, I mean, to be honest, I think at this point, because again, I am an advocate for my theory. Oh, I have a question about that too, because I need to quiz you about my theory. What you know?
Oh, please don't quiz me, because
not the details, not in that way, not in that sense. Just so first question is, I am convinced that they have such horrible evidence against Blake and Ryan.
Yeah.
That I think Blake and Ryan, they're going to do the discovery and the positions, and then they're going to settle. They're going to have to settle because, I mean, imagine how they speak based on the interviews, like in public.
Anita, let's do a role play. Can we do a role play?
Oh, again?
Yeah. I want you to play Ezra. I want you to play Blake Lively's attorney, the star from Ask Two Lawyers that everyone likes. Well, if they like anyway. I don't know if she's good or bad. I just know that that's the one that everyone.
I can play the damsel in distress. I cannot play a lawyer, but I'll try. Okay.
Oh, you could do a damn good job. Okay. I will play Friedman. I want you to ask me for a settlement.
I'm me asking you.
You just said that you're convinced that they're going to settle. I want you to ask me for a settlement. I'm going to be Friedman. Mm-hmm. I will reverse the roles once I give you my response.
Oh my God, I have anxiety just thinking about it. Wait, it's 7:48. Okay, so, oh wow, I can't imagine. I'm just calling. I'll be like, hi,
Yes.
I apologize for the past 8 months. I just had to. We knew what I was doing. So it's like, I'm begging you. I'm not asking you. I'm begging you. Okay.
You're
I think that's
begging
what's
me.
going to happen. Yeah.
What are you begging me for?
I'm just like, we know. I know. But, I had to.
You had to do what?
I had to do what I had to do. I had to do what I had to do,
Ezra,
So
I appreciate you calling me. I appreciate you saying that you had to do what you had to do, but now I have to do what I have to do. And unfortunately, you have left me no choice but to go forward. I cannot, I don't, well, you haven't even asked me for a settlement yet, have you? I'm sorry. You may proceed.
Yes. I would like...
I'm the judge or something.
I am just like, I'm trying to see like what would actually... Yeah, okay. Give me your price. I'll be direct. Give me your price and give me a way out where she can still recover somehow. Ryan will be okay. Everybody knew he was psycho anyway.
$1 billion in a public apology, acknowledging that your sexual harassment claims were frivolous, acknowledging that you had ulterior motives to steal the movie, and acknowledging that Justin Baldoni is not a sexual predator.
How can we phrase it in a way? Help me help you. You're gonna get a big cut out of this. Let's collaborate. What's your percentage? How much are you getting?
Well, I'm getting my standard 40%.
Okay, perfect. So you have the incentive. Let's do this. And so yeah, how can you convince him to put it in a way where Blake does not look like a total B? I mean, she already is. We all know. I know. Oh my God, you should have seen her behind the scenes. She's horrible. I can't imagine what Baldoni went through. Anyway, so how can we do this?
Well, Ezra,
do you have a way out? You lead the way.
Nope, I have a way out. You're going to have to talk to your client. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to get this in front of a jury. I'm going to get $1 billion. And she's going to lose on all causes of action. I think you and I both know that.
I've come up with a way. Okay, got it. You don't need to. It's all good. I got it. So we'll do that. We'll do a full public apology. Let's make it what you asked for, 400 million, New York Times. How about I will throw New York Times under the bus? You can go after them. We'll help you. I think that will be a big case for you, Brian.
I'm going to get the New York Times too. You don't worry about them. They're going to pay as well.
Wouldn't you want it to be an easy? What about I help you? I serve it on a plate. To
be fair, your client's already kind of served this on a plate for me.
Yeah, but you know how that is. They can always wiggle. I have voice recordings of them agreeing and telling us how to do the CRD complaint. Would that be good? And New York is a one-state recording party. Wouldn't that help you?
I'm going to have to run this by Justin. I'll tell you what. I don't have authorization for this. I'm going to have to get Justin's approval, but this is what I'll do for you. I won't ask for $1 billion. I will ask you for $800 million. You can do whatever you want with the New York Times. I'll drop the suit against the New York Times, but your client's going to have to take responsibility.
600,000. I'm meeting you halfway. Let's shake hands, and then I'll give you how Blake is going to recover from this.
600,000 from 800 million.
600 million. Sorry, not thousand. Sorry, I don't think in millions. I'm not there yet. So 600 million.
I'll tell you what. I'll take it to Justin. If he says yes, then I'm in. But I got a feeling he's going to say no. But I'll try. I'll try just for you because you've been so nice.
Okay, perfect. And then the other thing.
Okay.
So this is how it's going to go. This is a full public apology, acknowledging.
Okay.
But in under one condition.
All right.
After that, we're going to make 2-hour interview face-to-face, Blake and Justin. And Justin is publicly going to forgive Blake and ask everybody else to forgive her too. And they're going to talk about it. Because this is the only way she can have a comeback. Because you know how Justin is saying he's all forgiving, acknowledging and everything. This is the only way. We will do a full apology. Ryan will kiss his ass and everything. He'll tattoo his name on his perineum. And we'll do it.
Perineum? What is a perineum?
Oh, that's, what is it? Isn't that the somewhere between the...
Is that
between the two holes? So we can make a vlog about it. We can say it, and then and this could be a big redemption thing.
I'll run it by Justin. I can't make any promises, Ezra. but I'm going to try for you. Just for you.
You know it's good.
All right. 600 million.
It's a good
tattoo
deal.
on perineum. I'm in. Okay. It's my turn to play the reverse.
I think I actually gave... are you on mute or am I on mute?
No, I don't think either of us are on mute.
I think I just gave Blake a way out. They settle in that way, give apology, but then they make that interview, and they talk, and then she confesses how,
All
Did
right.
I think I saved Blake just now.
Well, you cost her an extra $200 million. So there's that.
Yeah, but then she can still come back.
All right. Could I play Ezra now?
All right. Oh,
All
I'm
right.
Brian.
You're going to be Brian. You got to be mean. You got to
Okay.
be mean. You got to be confident.
Oh,
All right.
God. Okay.
You have a winning case. Use it. All right. Brian, how you doing? This is Ezra.
Hi. Good. How are you doing? How's
Listen.
Blake?
Well, she's a wreck, as you could imagine. I know your client's a wreck. Look, we've been going at this for 8 months. I think that there's a world where these two crazy kids could shake hands and play nice. I'm not going to say my client hasn't done anything wrong. I'm not going to say that your client hasn't done anything wrong.
He hasn't. Wait. If this is going to be an apology, you better get it right. Restart, please.
Restart. Like the energy. Please. I like the energy. Okay.
It doesn't matter. Brian.
Okay. It doesn't matter who's done what, but I will acknowledge this. My client is very regretful of how things have gone over the last couple of years. It isn't right what's going on with Baldoni. It's not right what's happening with everybody surrounded with this lawsuit. So this is what I'm going to do. Look, you and I both know we're going to go to trial. Maybe you get 400 million, maybe not. It's going to cost your client hundreds of millions of dollars to find out. I'd rather focus on settlement. And if your client is the person that I think he is, as I've tried to convince him that my client is, the more this stuff has come out with this lawsuit, we're realizing that, look, there's no sense in trying to cast aspersions on either side. So let's do it like this. We will settle this case for $50 million directly to Baldoni. We will give an additional $50 million to a charity of Baldoni's choice. We will sign full NDAs, and we will agree to a sit-down, clear the air, hash it out interview to be hosted by a media outlet of Baldoni's choice, and we will end the litigation, and everybody can move on with life. What do you think of that?
With all due respect, April 1st is way past. We're almost a month past that. Thank you very much. Thank you for the effort. First of all, I don't know how long have you been practicing the law, but you got to study your enemy. See, I can play better when I'm right. When I'm in the wrong, I don't know how to defend. So first of all, let's do that. The thing is that just like Blake, I'm assuming as the lawyer, you don't know your enemy. She didn't know either. So now take your 50 million.
Mm-hmm.
You know what to do after that. Yeah. Politely, respectfully.
Oh, that's not very nice, Brian. But let me tell you what I've just learned about perineums. Okay, I'll tell you what. This is my last offer. This is my last offer because look, I'm getting paid either way. You're getting paid either way. This is really going to hurt the parties. So I could really care less. This is what I'm going to do. It's my best final offer, and I'm going to.
We don't care about the money.
I don't care. Right. I'm going to make this offer pursuant to CCP 995. I'm going to offer you $150 million. $100 million to your client, $50 million to do with whatever he chooses. Let's just call it 150 to Justin, do with what he wants.
You're lucky this is an audio call, not a FaceTime call, because my face is laughing. Try again.
Well, then I'm just going to have to see your perineum in court there, Brian. How about that?
Yes, exactly. And just an FYI, we have voice recordings, so bring it on.
All right. Oh, shit. The voice. Shit. Wait, what voice recordings are we talking about?
You haven't read the lawsuits we have filed, have you?
No, I haven't. Well, not really.
Exactly. Go reread, put in some hours. You know.
I'll tell you what. That wasn't too bad, Anita. I was actually really proud of you being Brighton. Brian Friedman. It is
Yeah.
easier to negotiate when you got the winning side, huh?
No, not winning side. The side where the truth lies, because I ain't lying. I ain't lying. so that's the problem.
Do you see why this isn't going to settle? Because I don't see a world where Friedman's not asking for like some astronomical amount of money, and there's no way that Blake's going to agree to that.
But as Ezra, that's what I said. I think this is the only way for Blake to do is like pay a lot of money, full apology, and then under one condition that they do an interview, because Baldoni gets his apology, she confesses. Maybe you know what we should do. What I will do. Sorry, I'm gonna go back. I'm Brian.
Okay.
We will do that interview, and what we'll do is we're gonna take the CRD complaint. She's gonna read it out loud, and she's gonna explain how she came up with those lies, and then Justin is gonna forgive, and they can cry it all out.
And she'll do that for
we can have a therapist there if they need it. What?
She'll do that for 150 million? You just want her to apologize 17 times for her allegations?
We can make a 30-year plan. They can do the E10s with us. They will make lots of movies. We can do a payment plan, how they can do it. It's fine.
What
but
if
this is the only way.
Tattoos the apology to her perineum?
It's not her perineum I'm interested in. It's his. Ryan.
Oh, you want Ryan? Oh, Ryan.
Yeah.
Blake will make Ryan do that. We're in for that. I'm all in for that. By the way, when I told you that I was gonna, you don't know this, but when you make an offer pursuant to 998, there's this cost shifting provision where, like, I'm offering you $100 million in settlement. If you don't recover at least that much in trial, then you got to pay for the other side's attorney fees. So it's strategic in nature, it just ups the cost. And in a case where there's $100 million being spent on litigation, it's a big deal. But never mind. That's my nerdy lawyer.
Sorry, were you being Ezra or Omar?
Oh, I was being Ezra when I offered you a 998 settlement offer.
Yeah, absolutely not.
Well, when I played Friedman, you gave me 600 million. When you played Ezra, you gave me 600 million. When I played
because Ezra knows they ain't got shit. Yeah.
I was ready to go to court, but wait a minute. Did I just hear you say that we're settling for 150 million in a public apology?
No, we shook hands at, wasn't it 600? 600 million.
Oh, that was you. That was
you already forgot. Wow. This is not going to bode well with you. Huh? I'm going to need it in writing, I think.
Well, of course, we'll get it in writing. We'll get the paralegals in here.
We will do 600 mil, 400 mil as we've sued for. 200 mil we're going to be donating to charities.
Oh, I did not hear you say the 600 mil. I think I was in my head thinking 150 mil because that's what I offered.
You started with 1 billion when you were Friedman, and then you said 800, and then we shook hands. Do I need to remind you?
Wait, are we talking about my settlement or your settlement?
No, when you were Friedman.
Yeah, we said 600.
When I was begging you.
Yes. See, but you came like way too nice though.
No, I didn't come way too nice. No, that's what it is. I just don't want to waste my time and breath on things that are not going to be fruitful. I'm not a, what is it called? I don't want to waste my breath. I've already wasted a whole last year.
You're not a glutton for punishment.
Psycho.
You're not a sadomasochist. So
no, I get results.
When you were playing Friedman, am I correct in my understanding that we were settling this for 150 million in an apology?
Nice try.
What was our settlement amount?
When I was Friedman and you were.
Yes, when you were Friedman, what was your settlement offer?
It was 600.
Oh. And I think
a full ass apology.
I offered you Ryan Reynolds' perineum.
No, I offered it to you to offer it to me. So, and then we were gonna do the interview. She was gonna do the wrist. Yeah. I am still being nice, I could still bury her. My career is set from I don't have to work a single minute after this. You know that.
Oh, for sure.
Okay, good.
For sure. I hope Friedman doesn't. I hope he retires, man. I would.
Yeah. Oh my God,
40%.
imagine if somebody is actually from their team is watching this. Wouldn't that be funny?
I think they'd be laughing their ass off. Yeah, I was like, what happened with this settlement?
I think they're gonna settle, by the way, but not in a way that it's NDA. I think he will get an apology and a high sum. Maybe the sum will be not disclosed, but the apology will be full on. I think that's what's gonna happen.
I don't know.
I would rather have a trial because I want it all exposed, obviously.
Yeah. I think Friedman wants the trial. VPan with the 5. Thank you so much. Says, Omar, do you think RR and BL's marriage will last if they lose? No, I don't think it's going to last if they win, personally. Or do you see RR divorcing to protect his money? Hopefully he was smart enough to get a prenup, for one. For two, I think that they got bigger issues, man. I've been hearing lots of smoke about varying infidelities with respect to them too. Who knows, man? They don't strike me as a solid married couple. But what do I know? Just a family.
I have another way out. Can I be Brian again?
Yeah.
Sorry, because this was one of my first things, because on Reddit I had written a fan fiction about how to save Blake out of this.
Okay, so you're Friedman again? I get to play Ezra?
Yeah, I'll be like, oi, Ezra. I'm talking, this is not professional at all.
Okay.
So, this is my offer. We get 400 mil.
Okay.
We make an agreement with Blake.
Okay.
We take down Ryan and we say that this was all made intentional. We all took part in it because, you know, after Blake Lively played in the domestic violence movie, she opened up to me. And Ryan was getting more and more jealous because she was talking about me apparently. I'm Justin. About Justin. Sorry, I got lost between Justin. Anyway, Blake and Justin, they kind of got close, but friendly, not flirty in that way. But Blake opened up, and knowing how powerful Ryan is, we knew that we had to publicly take him down. So
what's your settlement offer then?
The settlement offer is that Blake is gonna turn on Ryan. We'll take 400 mil, with 200 mil being donated to charities. But
so 200 mil. Throw Ryan under the. Wait, are you negotiating as Blake's team or Baldoni's team?
No. I am negotiating for Blake because at the end of the day, I don't like. Justin doesn't want to hurt Blake. So we all know who the real devil is.
You want 400 million, and you want to throw your husband under the bus.
Yes, and I know they don't have a prenup.
And do they really not have a prenup?
No, they don't.
Yikes. You know what? I better start being nicer to Reynolds, man. I got to be his divorce attorney.
They might have some paperwork drawn up based on businesses and stuff, but I'm sure we can think about something.
So that's the offer. I talked to Justin about it. He said no. He wants an apology from Blake.
Why are you Friedman? You were supposed to be Ezra.
Oh, I thought I was.
No. As Brian, I'm giving a way out to Blake because Justin doesn't want to actually hurt Blake.
Okay. All right. So that's the offer to me, Ezra. You want me to throw Ryan under the bus?
Yes.
Done. I'll do that. Hell yeah.
Hashtag us too. No, that's like me too, but like they can too. Yeah. Oh, and also but under one condition, we also throw New York Times under the bus as well. Exposing the power in Hollywood, what they can do.
Okay. I know that you're playing Justin's team and all. I don't see, I'm breaking character. I don't see Friedman offering that, man. I think he's going out for.
Okay. I want to bring it back to this part.
Okay.
Okay, let's forget about Friedman and everything. you really need to, not you don't need to, obviously, but I can
Yeah,
see
he
like
says,
it's
"Omar,
very
you're
hard
straight up."
for you to get out of your lawyer hat
Sometimes it is.
most of the time, you know. And
She said most of
who
the
Justin is, and what, like, how truthful and honest he has been about everything. And even in the messages, the way, like, I feel so bad for him. He has the truth on his side and everything. The reason why Brian can be this way is because of who Justin is. Just, I think, like, I know you have this thing, oh, it's a, what's it, a technique or tactic or something. I know that's what.
No, I think because you said this last time, and I agree with you because sometimes, because look, Justin Baldoni is calling the shots. Friedman works for him, and so what I hear you saying is Justin Baldoni has a certain character, and he wants it honored in the litigation. And if that's the case, 100%, I think that that's going to affect how Friedman negotiates. I agree with you for that. I 100% do. So they might not go for blood like the way that a lot of attorneys would. They might just offer like a peace offering or something and something lighter. But if they do that, it's going to be at Justin's direction.
I gave the direction.
Oh, the direction was we're throwing all these other people under the bus. And
No,
you know.
the direction was at 600. No.
Mm.
Fess up, exonerate fully, and then we will do a public, we will do like raw, uncut video, face to face, Blake and Justin. We're gonna talk, we're gonna discuss how we hurt each other, you know, hurt each other in a way she was hurt that I didn't accept her stupid creative vision for a domestic violence movie to be portrayed as a commercial Barbie type of movie. So we're going to talk about all of this face to face, and we're going to continue with her. We're going to continue with It Starts With Us, which was the sequel. And we're going to give her a good cut in the movie.
I think what we've accidentally identified is like the possible settlement figure is going to be like 600 million for Baldoni, and then some apologies. I don't know. I think that sounds about right to me.
If this actually becomes true, exactly how I said, because literally, like, this is, I can see Justin doing it because, again, he just wants to defend himself.
Yeah.
He, even like the way how he, all the things that, you know, my theory, how it came, everything was scattered around. It wasn't straight out in that way. He didn't even say it in a way that was, how to say, how you can see how bad it was, but the way it was phrased, like it was meant for people to analyze and break it down, you know, in that sense, to put it together. And another thing I was going to ask you, do you, I don't know if how I have portrayed my theory. My theory is not that this is what Brian is going to try to frame the case or like his defense as.
Yeah.
I think this is what happened.
No, I agree with you.
You know, so it's not like, oh, I think this is their way they're going to do. I think this is what happened and this is the truth. And that's why they're trying the case based on the truth.
No, I am on board with that theory. I think that the way that you've described everything at first was theoretical, but like it's starting to shape up through the more that we know about this case as, no, that's just kind of what happened. And as this case moves on, like at first you start here and then people like, we don't know what to believe, but the more this case is going on, it's gone more like this for Friedman and Baldoni and the Wayfair parties as opposed to them. And it's just because of little stupid things that keep coming out. And we haven't even touched the tip of the iceberg with all the stuff that is out there. Like right now where we're at is, oh my God, sham subpoena. But you know, that's kind of old news at this point. Like what we're going to find out over the coming months is a lot more juicier, I think. And so I think that you're right on the money that Friedman is litigating the truth, not a theory. He's litigating the truth. And he's going to take that confidence to court. And it's a powerful thing when you walk into court and you're able to argue the truth over a theory that you're trying to like stretch into the jury believing it is truth. And so they have that advantage. By the way, Sincerely Sue says, if I was Brian, I would focus on Stephanie Jones and New York Times to turn on Blake and put pressure on them. And I think that they might, because of the criminal stuff. They might. But
Justin
I'm not sure.
doesn't want to do that. I'm just going to say it. Again, this is,
Yeah.
I know. This is very, like, you have to concentrate. They just want the truth out.
Mhm.
They want everything they did to be out and to have it tried or won in that way. They're not in the business of throwing people under the bus.
Well, maybe not Brian, maybe not Justin, but maybe Jones will do that. Maybe Jones turns on Lively.
And I think Justin will not accept that. Well, they might turn in a way that, oh yes, she conspired to do this, but I don't think, which is the truth. With the truth, yes, but I don't think that's like, I don't know about that part. I don't see that happening either. I don't see Justin using
stuff,
Stephanie.
most importantly, it would be for the criminal stuff. Like if she's facing criminal charges, she's throwing everyone under the bus.
Yeah. And because in her, in her initial filing, she was saying that, oh, they tried to like not file the lawsuit she had filed on the 24th. So they had been trying to settle it behind closed doors, but
There's a question. Where are the NDAs? Were there none signed before the production of It Ends With Us?
She never signed her contract. What NDA?
Well, there's a bunch of stuff that wasn't signed. Yeah. But, and so the breach of contract cases, causes of action speak to that. I honestly don't know the answer to that question. Katz, what's up, Aquanetta? She says, Justin just wants his name cleared. I don't know. Well, everything I've learned about his character tells me that's probably true, but there's got to be a measure of him, even if it's just ego, even if that runs counter to his belief that wants to see some vindication. So, wants to see her penalized for bringing him through all of this. I don't know, but that's just speculation on my part. It means nothing.
I think that's just like I can imagine being him angry, like obviously, upset, and he wants to fight back, but I don't see him wanting to, make it worse for her, and because he never fought against her, like it's very funny. She literally shot herself in the foot. Everything was her doing. Every little thing, like if you go back even historically, wow, yes, my theory has become my history now, but all the articles, all the interviews, everything, it was all herself, all her. And very funny, after they hired the CIA guy, the worst thing that came out about Justin was that the toxic positivity, that is the worst thing that they have found on this guy.
Yeah.
In 4 months.
There's no dirt on the guy. None. But that begs the question, what if he gives her the Gwyneth Paltrow treatment?
What is the Gwyneth Paltrow treatment?
So she fought a lawsuit all the way to trial, all the way to victory. She won at trial, and all she asked for in damages was nominal damages, $1. All she wanted was to clear her name. What if Justin were to say, I don't want $600 million. I just want my name cleared, and she's got to pay my attorney fees and damages of $1?
No, because it's not only Justin. She has damaged, she's hurt people's lives. The stress of the family, the studio, they had a business, they have movies coming up, they had the potential. No, bitch gotta pay. There's no way. Because it's not only...
his backers need to recoup their money, though.
So the money is not a punishment for them. It is literal losses that they're suffering.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I agree with that.
So it's not like, they just put a number because just to make a case. But if you look at it, like this movie, It Ends With Us. Was it 350 million? The Wayfair, because she sued It Ends With Us, Wayfair LLC, production. She sued the billionaire. That's all reputational damages.
You know what we got to do? Because I'm going to wrap this up pretty soon. But you know what we got to do, Anita? We got to we should do another role play, but like I want you to play Blake Lively, and I'm going to cross-examine you in a deposition.
Okay. Oh shit. Okay.
I think that's what we should do.
Okay.
I think that's going to be the show that everybody wants to see. They want to see what that's going to look like. I think I could do a really good job. I think you do a really good job playing Blake, but you really got to get into character though. You got to like really play, like copy her mannerisms, her speech patterns, and all this kind of stuff. And I'm going to grill your ass the way that I would Blake Lively, and you're not going to like it. You might not like me afterwards, but I think we should do it.
Okay, I'm gonna have to go get harassed as SH in order to get into that mindset so that I can lie about it in that way. But
yeah. We'll give you like a month to prepare or something. But I think
mock trial.
Yeah, like when the case is like slow, we'll do like a little mock deposition. I think it'll be fun.
Yeah, sure.
All right, folks. That's all I got for you tonight. I love you all. Tomorrow, the Karen Reed trial is getting nutty. And I want to talk about it. I'm going to do that tomorrow afternoon. Until then, I love you guys. I will see you guys then. Anita, thank you so much for joining me tonight. And I hope you have a wonderful day. It's morning for you. It is nighttime for me. It is my bedtime. So I'm going to be going to bed.
Good night.
You all take care. We love you all. Bye-bye.
Bye.